I'm Peter Leach, and I'm here at the Apparel and Textile Importers Association conference with Ron Widdows, Senior Advisor to Neptune Orient Lines, the Singapore-based carrier that owns APL. Ron, I wonder if you can tell us what conditions you're seeing in the industry today and how we got there.
Well, Peter, we've seen, we've kind of seen this before to a degree. So that you've got volatility in the market on price, and you go into a downturn, profitability is impacted, and the dynamics that affect that have been with us for some time. What's different, and this is really something that's developed over the last couple of years, is the volatility or the things that are going on that are really outside your control as someone who runs a company in liner shipping. There are so many things going on at the same time. The volatility in the marketplace, the stress that our customers are under, changes that may be with us for a long time, maybe structural changes, fundamental changes that are driven by high fuel prices. We're almost back to $700 a ton on fuel. These are things that when you layer that on top of the kind of behaviors that have driven our industry for some time, drive for market share, people who want to grow beyond the growth in the market, the things that typically result in rate pressure, rate wars, if you will. Those things, when you put it together with the dynamics that are taking place in the world, work in a little meaner way. And I think that the industry, people that run these companies, have yet to kind of come to grips with how do you configure your business? How do you deal in a world that's much more volatile than we ever have seen? In a way that can sustain your business. And obviously right now that's not happening.
Well, let me ask you, you asked that question, how do they deal with the things they're seeing right now, which are record low prices that are back down to 2009 levels on the Asia-Europe trade and the Trans-Pacific? All of the carriers are showing red ink, bleeding red ink again this year. I don't know what the loss figure is. It was 19 billion or something like that in 2009. Are we going to see losses that big this year?
Well, I don't think not in 2011, but certainly as you go into 2012 with Asia-Europe rates lower than they were in 2009, the Trans-Pacific rates that are teetering and could certainly go further south, fuel prices that are materially higher. I mean, in 2009, fuel prices moved around in the $400 to $500 a ton range. We're now at almost $700 a ton. So the combination of those things on a bigger base means that the industry potentially loses a whale of a lot more money than it did in 2009. Now, what happens to cause that not to be so? It's really a change in behavior. I mean, people have to make up their mind, this just cannot go. We've lost enough money and this must change. So the fact that there's too many ships, there's a supply-demand overhang, demand is soft, yep, that's going to be so for the foreseeable future. So if you continue with this kind of destructive behavior, then you got an industry that's going to go to a very bad place. It can change if the players in the game decide it's so, and that's the ironic part of our industry. It really is about behavior, not so much about the external factors that cause companies to go this way.
Do you think it will change soon?
I don't think as much as you would like it to. I think that the difficulties in doing that and kind of the trajectory that things are on, I think is very difficult to change in the short run. Might it change by Trans-Pacific contracting next year? It's possible that some things could take place that might tighten the market up a bit. But I think this is something that's going to have to work a while before there's really a change of significance.
What things might happen?
Well, we've seen in the past tonnage be idled. In 2009-10, it was quite a bit, 1.5 million TEUs thereabouts. Certainly, given the weak demand that we're seeing and probably will see for some time, the need for that excess capacity to be parked is going to become more extreme. This is an economic driver.
Have carriers started parking capacity?
Some. I mean, you've seen some smaller carriers that exit trades altogether. There's been withdrawals. The financial pressures are building. Every company is different. But you're beginning to see that. So the idle ships are increasing. My own belief, personally, I think it's going to increase to a very sizable level, and I think we'll see ships idle for a longer period of time than we saw in 2009.
Starting, what, spring next year, perhaps?
Well, it's beginning now, but certainly, the hesitancy has to do with, the hope that there's a pre-Lunar New Year surge. Well, we hoped for a surge before the end of the year last year. It didn't happen. We hoped for a pre-Lunar New Year surge. It didn't happen. We've been in a period of time where demand growth has undershot forecast consistently, and we're still kind of there. So I don't think that you'll see some, but I think that probably post-Lunar New Year, when there's typically a drop in cargo demand anyway, that's probably the point in time where you see a little bit more considerable action. Some people will, some people won't. As it always goes, it's different by each individual. These are individual decisions. But I think that the economics are going to work in a fairly mean way.
Well, finally, if we start to see capacity reductions post-Lunar New Year next year, which is what, February, March, sometime in there, do you think carriers have any hope of turning a profit for 2012?
Well, it's early days to give up hope, but I think it's going to be very difficult. Just the dynamics that are at play, the distance that we've got to go from where it is to where you need to be, and to some degree, the continuing high oil prices are going to take the legs out from underneath some improvement on the cost side as a result of taking tonnage out of play.
Do you think there'll be any improvement in rates next year from the carrier point of view?
Well, again, I think you always hope. But I think it's very difficult to see. The behavior right now is completely in the opposite direction. So that people would have to arrest their behavior and change direction dramatically in a very short period of time for that to happen.
Thank you, Ron Widdows.